Hoi hoi my nap fam, it's your girl T, and as you could see quite plainly from the title of this video, the thumbnail, or just looking at me right now, I got boho locks again. I'm sure some of you who were with me last year around July-ish would have already seen that I did a set of these last summer for the first time. Loved the style, didn't love the installation process. Last July when I did them for the first and only other time thus far, I made the critical error of doing all individuals. Individuals is of course the method perhaps invented and certainly popularized by Jazz Nicole right here on YouTube. She was the first person I ever saw come up with the idea to basically do a regular braid, take the faux lock, crochet it. I mean, that's another bone I have to pick. It should be called latch hook weave, but moving on. You crochet the faux lock around the base of your real hair in a braid and then just wrap the lock around your hair, or if you're able, just pull your hair through the sort of hollow center of the lock. Now, with these particular locks, the boho locks, you can't do that because the way they're made, you can't really like get the latch hook inside of it to actually pull a braid or twist through. So that does mean that, at least for me, I have to wrap every single one around rather than just kind of like feeding my latch hook up the middle and then pulling my braid through, if that makes any sense. So because I did individuals all over, and the fact that my hair has got some decent length on it to begin with, that's a lot of time wrapping, not to mention the time actually just putting my hair in twists to begin with. So this time around, I changed up my technique, and this is just something I came up with. I think it's a combination of just me trying to solve a problem and just ideas from other tutorials I've seen here on YouTube. Now, what Lulu, who is the owner and creator of Boho Locs, what she does in her tutorials is she basically does individuals in just the front. She parts off 1 to 2 rows worth of hair and does individuals up front, and then the rest in the back is the latch hook weave, where you've got your cornrows or whatever in the back and you just latch the faux locks onto those as the base. Because I like to wear my hair in high buns a lot, I wanted more versatility. This is the same reason that I did all individuals last time around. What I did was, rather than just doing the individuals in the front, I did an entire perimeter of individuals, and then in the center, my cornrowing abilities are pretty much non-existent, and my flat twists are also fairly tragic, but at least they're more doable for me. So what I did was flat twist my hair in the middle. I have about 8 of them, and that's kind of the bulk. So it was a lot faster to just install the locks on this portion of my head, but I will say, even with just having the perimeter out rather than my whole head of individuals, that still did take a long time. Nonetheless, I was able to get this style completely installed. I've had it in about a week now. I did it last Monday, which was Memorial Day, and it did take me the whole day. It took me 7 to 8 hours, and that includes twisting up my hair in the individuals in the front, because I did do twists. It's just easier for me to take out. So what I do is I braid the first ½ inch or so of hair, just a few stitches so it's a little bit more secure when I actually do attach the faux lock, and then I twist the rest of my hair the way down. I did 2 rows worth of individuals in the front, but ultimately, I ended up combining some of those twists into one because I felt that the parts were too small and I was concerned about it being too much weight from the faux lock hanging on too little hair. And y'all know I'm already on the struggle bus with my edges, so I wanted to just be as cautious as possible. So not only did I do the perimeter 1 to 2 rows, depending on where you are in my head, but rather than taking the ends of my flat twist or cornrows, if that's what you were doing, usually people will either sew those up or even just find a way to sort of like flip their ends up and then crochet or latch hook the locks around those to keep them tucked. But I did something else. I did sort of a hybrid method of crochet / individuals, where at the very bottom of each flat twist, I would latch hook on one of the faux locks, and then for the tail of my hair, the part that was hanging off my head, the end of the flat twist, I wrapped the lock around that. The reason I did it this way was, one, I figured it would help me have less bulk on my head with the flat twists that were already there and then having to worry about putting the ends in there too. It just seemed like it would be kind of a lot and I didn't want that. And 2, it creates a little bit more of an illusion of having another row of locks above that proper row of individuals all the way down at the base of my kitchen. Hopefully that's clear. Another thing I did was, when I was making my flat twist for the crochet portion in the center of my head, I deliberately did not make clean parts. I parted with my fingers because I figured clean parts would be easier to spot when I'm just moving my head or walking around and the locks are moving. Whereas if your parts are uneven and jagged and irregular, I feel like they're harder to spot. That was my reasoning anyway, and I feel like it turned out pretty good. Whenever I hold up a mirror and stand in front of another mirror so I can see the back of my head, I feel like it looks fine. Next time around, I will make sure that I don't let the tails of my twists, which, by the way, once I was off of my head with my flat twisting, I did start braiding to keep my hair more compact. So the ends of my flat twists are technically braided. One thing I will say is some of those ends that were from the crochet portion of my hair wound up being quite thick. So once it was time to actually wrap the faux lock around, they look a little bit thicker, or quite a bit thicker actually, than most of the rest of the locks. I don't mind that too much, but it's something that I do plan to avoid next time, because there will be a next time. Because I just really love this style. It's been a week now, so they're starting to get a little bit more worn in. They're starting to kind of stick to each other, which is typical of any faux lock style, even sometimes kinky twists, as the hairs within the locks start to migrate out from that, you know, that coil. They do kind of get stuck together, but I just pull them apart. Last year, I did them in a color bronde, which is an ombre brown to honey blonde on the ends. And then I had some auburn locks that I was able to purchase in the same pack to mix in just to give it a little bit more dimension. Loved how it looked, loved how it turned out. This time I went with, I think this is called the chocolate color, which is basically a number 4. She also gives you the option to get some more kind of edgy color highlights. I went with these blue-green ones and purple. You can get all purple, you can get all blue-green, you can get none, and just get all the plain brown color. And you might be able to see I also mixed in some of my leftover blonde locks. I had a few of these still kicking around from last year, so I figured why not throw some of these in to give it a little bit more dimension, and I'm really glad I did. I absolutely love having that little bit more of a flavor going when I look at the locks. Very, very pleased with this installation method. This is going to be my go-to method for next time, with the caveat of making sure that none of the ends of my flat twists are too thick, so that it looks a lot more seamless in the back in case anyone spots some like super weirdo fatty lock. They won't be like, what the hell's with that one? But realistically, that will likely never happen because ain't nobody checking for you like that. Other people pay far less attention to what we're up to than we think they do. I did not even use all of the locks that came in my pack. I mean, I'd probably say even with adding in the leftover bronde locks, I had plenty of the ones from this pack still left over, and that includes a few leftover blue and purple ones. I didn't use them all. So for any that get destroyed during takedown, because I am going to try to save these locks to reuse this time. I wasn't able to on my last install because I did all individuals and the locks just got too jacked up. But I was a lot more adept at actually putting these in, and not to mention the ones that are just crocheted onto my flat twists. Those will be pretty easy to salvage. Hopefully, yeah, I will be able to reuse these, and for any ones that I do lose, I've got some alternates on standby. That's really it. This is just a quick show and tell. I wanted to let you guys know what I was up to with styling my hair. I'm in protective style mode, which is pretty much always the case. I'm always rocking protective styles because I'm lazy. But it's really nice to not have to worry about figuring out if I want to wear a turban or put my hair in a bun or do something with my braids or whatever every morning, where now I can just get up and my hair's already styled and I can go. Considering I got some busy weeks coming up with work stuff, that's definitely going to be helpful. And besides, it's pretty much summertime now as far as I'm concerned, and every summer I want my poetic justice braids or some version of that. To tell the truth, I haven't had actual box braids in years and years because I don't have the patience. I always do kinky twists, but this is also a really awesome iteration of that kind of vibe that I've really been loving the last 2 summers now. And I think I'll get faster and more efficient at installing them as I get more used to the process. So yeah, it's already been a massive improvement from last year this year. Last year it took me essentially 3 days to install them. If you watch that video, you already know. But for this to take about the same amount of time as it does for me to put in kinky twists, that I can work with. Anyway, thank you as always for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
That's some nappy-headed hose there, I'm going to tell you that now.